So HAILIE is an idea that came out of the conversations that I had, which were really fragmented around AI. So it stands for Housing, AI, Leadership and Implementation Exchange. So we're all doing trials of all these different AI tools, often the same AI tool. And what I wanted to do was to reduce the waste there by sharing the knowledge. So that if you're doing a co-pilot trial in your call center, that you already know that somebody else has done that and you can take that learning without making the investment first. So it's to try to reduce the amount of waste that we have in terms of innovation so that we can reinvest that money in terms of trying other things or doubling down on the stuff that we have a good chance of working. And it's centered around AI and IoT because there's so much going on in terms of sensors for damp and mold, and there's a lot of hype about generative AI. And I wanted to sort of help the sector to get their arms around it and to learn at scale, because it's fragmented learning with poorly understood risk and not very much like leadership at the moment. So I wanted to help the sector to grow that kind of capability. The UK housing data standards, which HACT put together, those are supported by MHCLG, so they're supported by the government, and they are a particular framework for how you can store data as a housing provider. Now, they're not essential per se in AI, but they would be very useful in terms of the leveraging across different providers. So you could potentially think about data sharing where you have data meaning the same thing across different providers, which then again allows you to run these AI experiments at scale, but for like half the price. If you've got two providers coming together, then it's half the price if you're doing it just once. But I think data standards have almost become a code word for this data quality, data integrity issue that is pervasive in the sector. And we really need to help RPs to, so following on from Awab's law, there's a big awareness from RPs that data quality is really important. So the Better Social Housing Review highlighted this as well. The Grenfell inquiry also highlighted this, that there's a real need for high quality data where we know what it means. And so there is more investment happening there. But unfortunately, there aren't many CTOs in housing organizations. You don't have that as an exec level capability. And as a result, there isn't so much of the strategy and vision that comes from the exec around what leveraging data looks like. And that means there's a little bit of a gap, and that data quality becomes a bit more about doing a solid regulatory return, which is really important, but perhaps doesn't unlock the long-term value that some of the AI or machine learning or any analytical solution could do. So HAILIE is about small experiments which are already happening and bringing them together and helping people to communicate about that. So that could play a really important role in assurance, so that you already know that this approach has worked somewhere else, and that de-risks it when you're implementing it in your own organization. So that's great. I think we are experiencing an extremely high pace of change, not just in terms of AI technology, but in other things which are affecting the sector. And if we communicate about these things, we do a better chance of navigating this really swiftly changing environment. I think some of the things that unlock that are about boards understanding that investment in technology capability. So technology capability, so not just buying an IT system, not just hiring someone that's really good, but thinking about technology as being a capability that sits across the business is going to be crucial for that. I think actually we as a sector haven't really done digital transformation yet. So lots of people say, oh, we've done a digital transformation, but actually unlocking the value of that and the customer-centered approach that you can have with that, I think we're still on the journey there. And so if I was an exec looking after an RP trying to unlock value from AI, I would start with the customer, same as with everything, start with the customer, and then look at how the tools that we have in our toolkit, be they different processes, different ways of thinking, or different technologies about how they can support us to deliver the outcome we want for customer. And right now, AI is a very immature part of that toolkit, I would say.